Right, GTZ is on the list and G10AR. And for a change, we'll put GTZ up the top, just after Mike. Just watching, he says. What a shame. Right. It must be 8 o'clock. Let's turn that down. Good evening all. Welcome to the BATC Thursday Evening Net. Good to see plenty of people on. I'll just wind the power up one more notch for Tim. You can probably see that. What's been happening this week? Well, CQTV is out. You can download an electronic copy. That's been keeping the committee fairly busy this week, and a few others. We issued a software update for the Ryde, which unfortunately disabled all mini tuner expresses. There is a fix for that on the forum. It's due to an unexpected hardware difference in the mini tuner express. And it looks as though we'll all be able to get out portable for the April activity day, so please put that in your diary. So without further ado, I'll put it round to John. G7JTT to take it properly this time.
last week. It's a cheap and cheerful, very cheap Bluetooth air thingy, and spent about 3/4 of an hour this evening, and I can listen through it, but I can't get the mic to work on the PC here. I change in from the little dongle that I was using to another Bluetooth dongle. I haven't cracked that one yet. I think I need drivers and a clean slate again, but something for me to play with. Of other power supply from the followed in mics, which covers all the things with the you don't want to get your fingers in around. That's well covered over, and the power poles, which we've all competed with, the number of colours we have. I've opted for pink for this, for upwards of 30 volts, as opposed to red for my 10 volts as standard, and the feet as well were printed. So a lot of fun with that. I've learnt ABS is not the material to 3D print large objects. Neither is PETG, and the bog standard PLA filament worked perfectly adequately with that, and I wish I'd started off with that, because it's about an 8.5 hour print job with that. So that's about enough for me. I'll pass it on to Mike, G0MJW with the group. This is GI4DOH.
Just turn myself down so I don't interfere. Hopefully things are working. Good, that wasn't the right picture, so let me just get the right picture up. Evening everybody, nice to see you on the net, etc. I turned up the power for Tim. He was having trouble receiving in Wales. It's raining, which is unusual for that part of the world, but hopefully he's receiving now. That looks like a very nice 3D print, Richard. I use PLA for that. I think ABS is likely to start to curl up at the edges or cause you other problems. And PETG I don't really use, so I don't really know about it. But the last time I tried to print that, it also curled up at the edges. Whereas the PLA, and I've got a particular type I use, seems to work very well. It's 22 quid a roll now. It's gone up, but it's not too expensive, and it produces a very nice result. And yeah, it takes forever. I made the back panel a lot thicker this time to support the power poles better, and that worked okay. But I probably should have put 2 sets of power poles in them, and the holes take a long time to print as well. I know a hole doesn't contain anything, but it's actually the producing of the wall around the hole takes a while to print. 3D printers will know what I'm talking about. Other people will think, what on earth are you on about? Anyway, right. Let's have a go with the other picture. Because these things have appeared in the shop now. It takes out a camera. Just to show people what I meant by what I was saying in construction. So, I don't know if you can see that, but that is the case, the recommended case, or at least a suggested case. The lid's not on it, so you can see inside, but there are some holes here, 3 of them actually, next to the NIMS, and that's for cooling. On the bottom, there's a artistic array of holes. It would be smaller, but I got it in the wrong position first time, so I had to make it a little bit bigger to make it look better. Those are under the fan, more or less. And then here, will it lighten up a bit? Yeah. So there's the Raspberry Pi. I think you can see that. Underneath the Raspberry Pi is a fan, and I don't think there's any way I can show that with the camera. Oh, maybe it just about shows up. It's black, and just above where it says BATC and Pi 4 on that picture. A 40 by 40 by 10mm fan, which sucks in air through those holes, blows it up over the Pi, and then it exits through the holes at the back. At least that's the idea, and it does seem to work. The two LNB modules, which we were discussing earlier here, you could probably solder those in actually rather than mount them in a socket. If you use a cheap socket, they can be a bit wobbly. The secret there is to bend the pins a little bit out alternatively. So bend one in and one out, and one in and one out, and that will make it much more rigid in that socket. And the other thing you can probably see is the three regulators. In this one, they're all the same because they're all 3 amp regulators. Because the 1.5 amp ones seem to be a bit difficult to get at the moment. 3 amps is fine. There's no real difference apart from the capabilities more than is needed. And they cost a little bit more, another couple of pounds or so. So that's that. Not sure there's anything else anyone wants to see there, but shout out on the chat if you do. And yeah, so some people will be receiving those boards from Noel, who is busy on his way to the post office, apparently. That's why he's not going to come up and speak to us. And he's busy posting them all, and he says he's going to run out of Jiffy bags, so perhaps not order any more. These little modules, by the way, which are not in the picture anymore, so let me put the picture back on. These little modules here, these LNB power supplies, you don't necessarily need those. It's only if you want to power an LNB at 18 volts. If you don't if you don't want to power the LNB at 18 volts, what I've done is I included a current limited circuit, which is what the second regulator is, and you can choose a resistor to set the current limit to be safe for your particular LNB, taking into account what current you can put through the NIM, of course, which is only about 150 milliamps or so, maybe a bit more, but not a lot more. What you do is, that's an LM317, so it will drop the voltage a bit, but only 1.25 volts, until the current becomes excessive, at which point it'll start folding back. So that's the idea, to protect the NIM from short circuits. Okay, that's enough from me, I think. Who am I passing it to? I think it's Jim, isn't it? So, right, G7NTG, G0MJW.
Right, good evening. Just mute this, so let's stop all this. Right, good evening. Just try. Mute this. That's it, that's got it. Right, that's very nice, Mike. I do like the new receiver. That's coming on very well. I've just ordered all the bits and starting to get some of the bits arrive for that myself. Not for me, because I'm building one for Dionysius. So, Kalispera to Sugar Victor 8 Romeo Victor. So I'm going to build him one. So it'll be a good check for me, because I can play with it and see how good it is, and if I like it, then I'll build myself one. So that's good. What have I been doing? Right, well, I've been doing a little bit of work with some guys who are messing about with amplifiers, and nobody's got any means of measuring power. So I thought, well, there's something that needs doing. Somebody needs to produce or design a nice cheap power meter, low cost but reasonably accurate. So here we go. This is the prototype, and it seems to work very well. Got to hold it still enough so that the picture clears up. It's not a very good picture here, but it gives you the gist of it. If you look on the Facebook page for BATC, you'll see it on there, and I'll put it in the forum as well. The idea is to write a project on it for the magazine. But inside this, we use a directional coupler, which are extremely cheap on eBay, and that's fitted into the case. The case is the same length as the directional coupler, and the slots cut in the case fit the directional coupler nice and tight, so when you screw it all together it locks it in place. And on top is the end connector detector. Not sure you're actually going to be able to see that very well, but there is a BAT 62 diode on there, which is a nice 40 volt diode, so it'll take a lot of punishment. And so far I'm short of meters. I've only got the 1 meter, which I've printed a scale onto some adhesive paper. I don't know whether you're going to see that, whether it's going to be sharp and clear enough. Probably not. It's not that good, is it? But I might have to calibrate the scale for each one, but the idea is to make a power meter, or design one, that can be easily built by anybody, as long as they've got a friend with good test gear who can calibrate it for them. That's the important bit, is setting the preset on the back of the meter to make it read correctly. And if you could do that, even on a blank paper screen, or even doing a sort of graph of what the actual deflection of the meter is against the actual power. But I also intend to make a few. I've already had people ask me for them, so I think I've got orders for 3 so far, which I'm very happy to do. Cost of materials for them is about £33, including the box, so it can be done very cheaply. So I don't know, we're looking at probably £50–60 to make them, so it's a sort of project that you could do. I mean, if anybody makes one and they want to send it to me to calibrate, I can do that. But anyway, that'll come a bit later on when I've made a few and see how repeatable they are. Right, that's enough from me anyway. So it's round to G8HKN from G7NTG with the net.
One, two, audio test. One, two, audio test. Right, good evening all. It's been a few weeks since I've been on, so I thought I'd pop up and find something to talk about. To Jim there, yeah, seen the pictures on the Facebook page, much clearer than at 333. And look forward to seeing Joe later. I thought I'd show a few pictures of things that we talked about in the last few, or a few weeks ago. So it'll be a few slides or captions. They're not holiday snaps, so don't worry. Let me just prepare the first one. Just a little treat here for our viewers in the Angular region. Bernie's not on, but Noel might be interested in that little test card that I found just recently. And just to let you know, the talks about the Ava meters the other week, I found the instructions and they're in perfect condition, so I've obviously not referred to them. And there is actually a circuit diagram in there, which could be very useful. We were also talking about soldering irons, and this is my box. For the shack it's the BATC. This is the one from the toolbox. It's been in use for a long time. Very lightweight, just a press button control, and it's very powerful. And if you notice that the plastic has started to melt, that occurred recently, or relatively recently, because the soldering iron is probably 40 or so years old, when I used it to solder the potty patch antenna. And it managed it. I didn't have any other problems. It's not the best of soldering, but it works obviously, unless anybody can tell me otherwise. And it got very hot. So the plastic did start to melt. Right, another thing I found in the toolbox is this little device here. It's got on one side 10 holes, of which 9 are only ever used at a time, and then on the other side, if I press the button, it has 8 holes, of which only 7 are used at any time. So I know what it is, but hasn't been used for a long while. I wonder if anybody else knows what it's used for. And then there's this device, which I've never seen since, but it's been in my toolbox, and when I was out on the road servicing TVs almost 50 years ago now, it came in very useful. It's got a cable coming out the bottom and a lever which has got 3 positions, and I'm going to show you some more pictures of that, but not for a while. I'll do that on my the second time around. So it's back to me, and I think that's all for the moment. If I can find the test card. Right, I shall go back to the test card, and I'm just reading the chat. I'm going back to the test card and passing it over to James. Oh, incidentally, it's nice to be between a Jim and a James tonight. I'll pass it over to the test card, and when I see
I didn't see OAR coming up, so I'll take it unless I see myself suddenly getting trodden on. Yes, evening all, and G8VZT. I'm not sure we've seen each other on tally before, so good evening to you, and evening to everyone else, of course. I had to copy you through the BATC streamer VZT. I'm afraid I don't even know your name offhand. And my name's Martin, by the way. I'm in Carshalton in Surrey. Yeah, thanks to John, JTT's VLC quad machine, I was able to see what was going on there. So there you go. I haven't done a great deal amateur radio wise this week. I'm still building my workshop out in the garden, and I didn't do any of that today either because my back is absolutely killing me. So I must try and remember how old I am. I'm not 32. I'm a lot older than that. Richard, the Bluetooth thing looks good, and a good bit of 3D printing. Mike, the Winter Hill looks absolutely wonderful. I think I'm going to have to order the bits. That'll give me something to do while my back is stopping me lifting great lumps of concrete up. And my LNB seems to be taking 130 milliamps. I think you said 150 milliamps was what it could do. So that's good. Jim, yeah, the power meter, excellent. I saw your article about that. I got a great number, a few of these. I'll have to go back there so I can see what I'm doing. This one was, I think, £5 from eBay. It's a 30 dB coupler, which you probably can't quite see. And it's spot on. I calibrated it on my with my spectrum analyzer, and it's exactly 30 dB coupling in the forward direction, on 2.4 gigs or thereabouts. So that's rather good, isn't it? I believe some Chinese company made loads of them, and then when the Western world said we're not using Chinese kit in our communications gear, they suddenly appeared on eBay at a very good price. And they seem pretty well made. I did take one to bits, of course, and it looked rather well made. It's actually got a sort of taper inside it, which means it stays at 30 dB for a much wider bandwidth than you'd usually expect for one of those couplers. I don't think they're all the same though, so there you go. And I was very impressed, Jim, that the box you found for yours appears to fit exactly one of these couplers. Hello, Roger. Nice to see you. Long time no see. And fine business on your soldering iron. Yes, I thought that might be a valve pin straightener, but who knows? Mysterious tools in the TV trade, I seem to remember. And that'll probably do for me. There was one other thing I was going to mention, but it's completely escaped me. So I will put it round. I think Colin's next. If you're there, Colin. G4KLB. This is G4FKK standing by.
Okay, thank you, Martin. Excellent. Okay, just mute myself. I'm having trouble understanding. That's all right. That's just Alexa. Alexa's having some difficulty on the other side of the shack there for some reason or another. Right. Okay. Very good evening. Yes, directional couplers. They are used for little beasts. This is the type that I often use. This is what I use to set up the Kira 100. With this one generally, this is a 20 dB, so it often has to have this little accessory stuck on the top, and some more actually, because my power meter can't take very much at all. But yeah, use those. This one actually I've written on the back, At 2.4 gigahertz, it's actually 22 dB. So there's a bit of a discrepancy on this one. So maybe this one isn't tapered. Another one of the same ilk, but this is only 6 dB. That was for something else. And and another one here. There we go. Can we see that? It doesn't want to focus on there, does it? Here we are. Another one as well. What we're written on that. This one is 23 dB at 2.4 gigahertz. This one. So there's these ones are obviously maybe the 30 dB ones are better, but when I've taken measurements, this one was 23 dB, and this one was 22 at that particular frequency. At lower frequencies, they're a little bit more accurate, it seems. But there we are. So it's my little. I think there's probably more, but I just pulled 3 out from the drawer. But that's what I actually have to use when I'm setting up the QO100 with a selection of attenuators on those. So the 30 dB probably be better, really. Because obviously it's not quite enough, because I'm using that's already wired in, is it? I'm using one of these CNN 801, which does 2.5 gigahertz. There we are. That's what I use, but at only very, very low power, unfortunately. So that's what we that's what we use here. The black ones are adjustable. Oh, okay. Black ones are adjustable, are they? Interesting. So this is branded Broom Sense. I don't know if that's a similar. This might focus. You can sometimes persuade these. Yeah. And there it is. There we are. That's one I had. I've had this one some time. Focus. There we go. I understand the next model up of this camera can focus a little bit quicker. However, it doesn't work on a port stand. Right, there we go. So that's that sort of thing. What else have I been up to? Playing with Plutos. I got a revision C. I've been fiddling around with that. Doesn't do anything. It doesn't do anything different, really, but it's quite convenient. The other thing is because I've used a Pluto in this, which is strictly speaking has been built as a Langston, but as you can clearly see, it is also a Portsdown 4. So that's what I've been making. If we can get that going there, with one of those fancy encoders in there as well. So that's pretty good. So that's what I've been using. You can see it's using one of these other. The Pi actually it'd be the other way around. Would be better, wouldn't it? Here we go. Yeah, you can see the Pi is on the back, and the dongle there. I put some tape put some tape on to stop that from shining through. The dongle, I had to think outside the box because the box was a bit small, and so the dongle with its short leads is just stuck to the top. This one has got a little mod. I've got to make up another cable, but there's the Pluto stuff over here. I'm not just getting used to this mirror image thing. And then we've got the local. There's a separate local oscillator, a more accurate local oscillator inside it. But I often want to use a more accurate one for the narrowband stuff, and so I can disconnect it and feed in an GPS locked one, and then I've also put a switch in to switch the power off to the internal one just in case. So that's my little. I say it's really a Langston, but you can tell because it's got 2 speakers when you'd think it only needs 1. Then it might come in for other uses, you see. So it is stereo, although obviously you'd have to put your nose in the middle to hear it. I don't need to have stereo, I just need to have 2 channels. So sometimes you want to mute one of them, you see. Oh, that sort of works. That's interesting. That's quite good. If I have a port stand in front of me, it lights my face up. That works quite well, doesn't it? And if you take the... Yeah, I have another use for a port stand. There's just no end to the uses of these things. Right, anyway. There we go. So today we're using a Pluto with the latest software 0303, I think, which I'm not sure. I'm not sure if everything works on it or not. But I've done a bit of an experiment, gone out on a limb today because I've never used it on air before. I upgraded that last night, and that's just plugged into the PC and running via OBS and the IPTV script. So hopefully it's worked. Right. So who is next? DJ4ZZ. Excellent. DJ4ZZ. Okay then. Well, over to you. So station G4KLB now closing down. Well, not quite closing down, but switching. Closing down. Well, not quite closing down, but switching.
So, I hope it works. And that audio is working also fine. And give me just a moment. Oh. Yes, okay, it works. I can copy me back. Yeah, thanks G4KLB. This is DJ4ZZ Joe. Hello, good evening. I have 3 teams this evening. The one everybody told it today is this coupler, and I will show it. And they say it's adjustable. Yes, it is. And behind this sticker, when you open it, you can see a little screw, and there you can adjust the dBs for coupling. I bought it also from eBay very cheap for €8 or €9 one piece, and I bought directly 5 pieces from that, and yeah, it works very well. I need it also. I use it also for my analyzer to copy my own signal out and bring it to the analyzer to be sure that it not will be destroyed with too much power. That's the thing everybody told it today, and then show it today. I show it also, and yeah. Okay. The other thing is this power amplifier. It have 3 transistors on it, and yeah, it works very well when it works, and when it works not, then it's a problem. Yeah, there are some things you have to pay attention on it. It's swing wildly when the output sees the input, because you get it only without this cover about on the amplifier. And so I have a great idea, and I take this one and yeah, put it over the amplifier. And it was also not a good idea because it was on resonance on the frequency, and yeah, it makes yeah many things would not will be fine. And so also another thing is on the output from the amplifier. You have to pay attention that you use the correct cable, because I use this one. It's H155, and you see the result from the output power. Yeah, it will be gone, so not so fine. Yeah, to use it for our band, this amplifier, you only have to change the input ports and the output ports. I just in the moment transmit with the amplifier, and yeah, it will be a good thing to make a cover around it, because it's very high frequency and with a lot of power. And when you see in the HF, you will go blind when it runs not so good. And the only thing is to bridge the circulator and the output. And I find the best way is to solder cable on the output and the input, and or the input, the output. The first 3 pins here, 6 pins are for plus, and the chassis is minus, and that's all. And I can produce. Now, Jim, now I use RG 402. I change it, and the Sandor Delta Mike 4 Delta Sierra told me it will be helpful when you make snowflakes on the output area from the transistors here, but only this one. And because we have a little bit phase interference, difference with these in the original. Okay, that's the amplifier. And if anybody have questions about that, please call me or wrote me. And then I have a little small thing here that's nothing complicated. I have for my PIC to program such a programmer, and but I have also often used PLC 44 PICs, 16F8XX. And the problem was that you get no adapter for this PLCC socket to this 40-pin socket for the programmer. And so I make a little PCB. On this side there's the PLCC socket, 44 pins, and on the other side are the normal pin for the 40-pin sockets for the dual inline. So, and that's all for me today. I don't know who's the next. Maybe something voted now. And I will give to the next one. I don't know who it is. Okay.
Check the audio. G0DQH. Checking audio. Hello, 1, 2, 3. Yep, okay, seems to be working this time. I have no idea why it didn't work before. They'll teach me to come on early and give it a test before I'm ready, that is. Okay, glad you got the power supply okay, and that's working. I just thought you might have a look at my mainstay power supply that I've had with me for a very, very long time. So I'm just going to switch over to the other camera so I can actually show you that. And here we go. This is a power supply that I built because of the delay. I've got probably no point in it. I built this about 30 odd years ago when I worked for Kutan and Ilfracombe, and has full back current limiting. It when it gets to 22 amps, it will just the voltage will just decay and go to zero. You can put a short circuit on the output, it just shuts down, doesn't do it any harm, and it's over voltage protected, and it has a very large SCR, which is there. And coming back a bit, there's the main fuse to the bridge, and a couple of nice big electrolytics. American electrolytics, I have to say. Sprague, I think. They've been in there a long time. and they work beautifully. And in the side we have 3 TO3 transistors each side, so there's six transistors in total, and it's usually on the floor just working away, and the fan at the back, if I can get around there, that is connected across the 115 volts, or if you like the center tap on the primary on the transformer, so it runs half speed. There's a 723 regulator in there. If I can, I don't know if you can actually see that. Doing through, probably not. Anyway, and if I can get to that, there's the output voltage. There we go. And that used to run my HF rig, and well indeed, perhaps we can with that, and go back to that one. If it'll stop pixelating, as I can see it is, so there we go. Good. So everything I think is working tonight, which is good. So that's about it from me. I've actually been into work today. I've got tomorrow off, thankfully, and the rest of the weekend. And hopefully when all this lockdown's over, which is I believe next week, we'll at least be able to go for walks in the New Forest again, so we're looking forward to that. And I've put on an immense amount of weight too. So anyway, I'm not sure who it is next, but anyway, I'll pass it on. They'll know.
Okay, thanks, James. And then we're just going straight into a bit of messy bench. I'm just going to turn this up just slightly. And turn that volume down. Right, I've got a little demo set up here from GHGKQ. This here on the left hand side of my ports down is a USB output, and I've got a little voltmeter that I use for USB that I've modified this week. So no load, there's 5.04 volts coming out of that USB port, but what I've done, I put a button on the side of the meter so that I can add half an amp to the load, and you'll see when I press the button, get it so you can see it, on there it goes down to 4.9, and that's because of the little tail I've got from the Raspberry Pi inside the box down to the socket here. What I want to do though is show you what happens if you put a USB extension lead. Now this one I thought was a good one. It's a USB 3 from Mouser. Plug that in, and just the same, yeah, no load, well 4.97 it's saying there, something like that. It's not a very good lead, that's for sure. Looks awful actually. If I put the let's put that in there and try that again. Is that going to work this time? No. I've clearly got some sort of issue with this lead, I think. What I was going to show you is how much voltage drop there was on that lead, and it looks like there's total voltage drop on that lead, so that's not very good. Yeah, that one's working all right. But it's really useful having a load that you can actually measure the voltage when you put half an amp load on USB, and you'll find that a lot of Lime SDRs and Plutos, you're running down about 4.7 volts, and is it any wonder they don't work so well? Talking of Pluto, the other thing I've done this week is I've been working on sorting out, let's see if I can get rid of that reflection, sorting out better operation with Pluto. We found that when you're switching from Langston to Portsdown and back again, you get all sorts of problems. So if I go to Langston here, the latest version of Pluto of Portsdown now reboots the Pluto so that you can be sure it's going to work when you get there. The reboot takes about 18 seconds, so it'll time out at 12, like, if it's all right. Yeah, there you go, and straight into Langston. So and it does it on the way back as well, so exit to Portsdown, and that should have rebooted, but it didn't. Good. Okay, more work to do. I'll just turn the camera around to stand by. Right, back onto the camera. And from the notes, John, the reason you popped up when you doubled with me is I cut carrier, so that's why you came up. There's been some discussion on the streamer chat about the 16-pin socket on the front of the advanced DATV receiver board, and yes, that is for front panel buttons for a Ryde in due course, once we get the Ryde software sorted out. Windhill case looks really nice, Mike. I haven't got a case for mine. And those power meters look good. I tend to use a large attenuator in front of an HP. But so the other thing that's been going on this week is sorting out the software for Windhill. That's almost all sorted now. And this Portsdown 4 Pluto update for lots of reliability things for Portsdown. Which I clearly need to do some more work on. I thought I'd tested it to death, but clearly not. So with that, it's 9 o'clock. We've only been round once, so quick once round again. Over to John, G7JTT and the net, G8GKQ.
as you, John. So in fact, it had a trim today. You just keep it on control and just accept that. And you could adjust these, and thanks, Joe, for actually exactly where under this label on this one is where the adjuster is, and again under the label on this one. So thanks very much for that. You live and learn. I think one of those is 20 dB, other is 40 dB. He's kicking around, and then that's they all ultimately connect to this that I picked up at a rally a couple of years. Relative measurements, but it's all relative. It's seeing how strong my signal is, and that seems to be the case. I mean, it's that was very good. I enjoyed that. James, what you were saying there about getting back to the New Forest for a bit of exercise, I went up 6 flights of stairs the other day using the lift, just thinking I needed a bit of exercise. The next day it shows just how got, so it'll be nice when it's to an end and we get back to a normal life. So not hang about. I'm not sure if I hold it really close to the camera. You can maybe see a couple of bits where it actually stripped the glass off the glass bed.
Right, not wanting to be outdone. Yeah, couplers are very useful things, aren't they? One of the things I measure, and I notice I'm running far too much power, but that is so that Tim can see a signal. So my amplifier has an output voltage for forward and reverse power. So that's what that is. I'm not sure how accurate the reverse power is. The forward power is calibrated against my HP power meter, my HP 435 or 436 or 437, and yeah, so it is measured by an Arduino Nano with an Ethernet adapter on it, and it tells me the supply voltage, the forward power and the reflected power with some vague accuracy, which is probably not really very accurate at all, but it's good enough for these particular uses. Some of you remember my other Arduino based power supply with the display, but seeing as I am a long way away from the amplifier at the moment, and I didn't want to run another cable, this is all done via Ethernet in the network. So yeah, so going back to these things, one thing you need, of course, to cover that is one of these. I guess lots of people have got those. I've got a couple of them. It's one of the diode detectors, and the issue is the power rating. If you check it out, come on, focus. Ugh. It's not going to focus, is it? No, doesn't want to focus. Anyway, the power rating of these things is minus 20 dBm maximum to minus 70 dBm, so it's really low. Yes, you can't. You've got to use it through a coupler, and you probably want an attenuator on it as well. And in my case, the attenuator is permanently fixed. I've got one with a 20 dB one on, which is 1 milliwatt full scale, and one with a 60 dB attenuator on it, which I was going to say is 1 watt full scale, but I'm not sure that's quite right. I'm not sure I got my maths right there. Anyway, it's very low power rating, but much harder to blow up. So these NADA ones are wonderful. They're like John was showing. I think he's got the same one actually, 1.7 to 4.2 gigahertz, minus 20 dB, and calibrated. This is an X mobile phone one. Got it at Martlesham. It came with a calibration table, so that covers most of the bands up to 2.3 gigahertz quite nicely, with various levels of coupling. This is an HP one, 1.9 to 4.1 gigahertz. This is some random Nokia thing, which may work. I know it looks like it's got a phone connector on it, but I think those are just DC connections. It's got some electronics inside. This is the one I thought Jim was talking about, but it's a different one. So it's 30 dB. It would be the same, perhaps, but it's not the same make. So maybe I'll order one of those other ones from eBay. Random one I picked up, and another Rally. This covers 1 to 2 gigahertz quite nicely. A radial one, cross coupler, 20 dB. That's 1 to 2 gigahertz. And then we get onto the VHF stuff. So this is a bird type thing. It's got diodes built in, hence it's got connectors for those diodes. And that covers 100 to 325 megahertz. Very useful. There's another similar sort of thing without any markings on it. And these things were at Newbury a few years ago. There are loads of them. I think they're about £1 each. And it covers 138 to 153 megahertz allegedly, which is 2 meters. It's got a whole load of useless electronics in the top, but it's basically a directional coupler with a box attached to it. So the directional couplers. I won't get out the rest of them. Right, let's go back to a picture of me. I don't think there's much else to comment on, but lots of really interesting things. Joe, that was great to see you. I've not spoken to you for a long time actually. I remember we had lots of conversations back at the beginning when we were just starting out on QA100, so it's good to see things have developed. And I don't remember you having a beard then, so yeah, I think that's certainly grown. So good to see you looking well. And yes, take things apart. As a child, I got in trouble for taking things apart. I wouldn't mind betting that everybody else on this net also got into trouble for exactly the same reason. So with that, 7-3 everyone, and catch you next week. Hope everyone has a good week. And let's put up the normal test card and catch you all.
Make sure I've got sound. Yes, this video isn't very good, is it? It's a bit blocky. Yes, I've always got into trouble for taking things apart. I was going to bring out a few directional couplers and show that I've got a lot, but now Mike's beaten me by miles, so no, I haven't got any of them. I've got a few of these though, all working to go with the power meters. These are all right. 8484, and then the 100 milliwatt one and the 3 watt one. So all quite useful. All purchased very cheaply, expecting them to be no good, but they all worked. So I did rather well there. Yes, the directional coupler I use for this power meter design is the 30 dB one. Seems to be best. And if it isn't quite enough coupling, you just screw in the adjuster and increase the coupling, and that makes all the difference. And it's just it's actually a panel end connector, and it's a male one that screws straight on, and then the little PCB is soldered straight onto the connector, onto the flat part of it. So it makes it very easy to connect up and provide a link through to the meter. But there will be more on that. I'm still doing experiments, and as another one of my fellow conspirators, if you like, Mike Binks, has just sent me an email to say, yes, you're doing it CW, but you haven't checked it against DATV signals, which is quite true. I haven't. So that'll be the next tests, because you don't always think of all these things. So, and I'm testing with a there's not a thermocouple, a thermistor head. So it's a temperature head, which is the best way for DATV. You're measuring all the power going. So a lot more testing to do, a lot more experimenting before I hit on the final design that I'm completely happy with, and then I shall publish it, another article for CQTV, and see how many people can make one. So with that, I'm going to pass it round to Roger and get out of the way quick. So G8HKN, this is G7NTG, round to you, sir.
One, two, test. One, two, test. Only. I'm back. I'm sorry if I look a bit warm, but sitting amongst this equipment has heated me up a bit. It's 25.2 degrees. So I'm getting quite warm sitting here for an hour or so. Okay, quick messages. To Martin, look after your back. Be careful there. I don't know if it's just a workshop or whether you're going to have a proper studio out there and move all that equipment out. Be interested to know what's going on there. On another matter on the radio front, I don't know if you're aware, I've been listening on Twiggy Day. He was on all the or some of the pirate radio stations back in the day. And to Joe, I've been to your part of Germany. I've been to Hanover and to Celle to go. That in the is still there, but I know the area that you are in there, Joe. Right, I better answer the questions that I was posing earlier. So if I can find the pictures again, I'll just put one of them up. Yes, this is the valve pin straightener. Also, I'm not sure why pins would actually need straightening if they've been in situ, but you can actually move the valve in and out and clean the pins by friction. That side is the B9 base. That one is the B7G base. Right, on to the other thing. That is a multi-way mains plug, yes. In that position it's 13 amp, and then by magic in that position it's 15, and in that position it's 5 amp. Did get a bit of use on 13 and 15 back in the day. Still have it, it's got a 2-pin socket on the end of the cable, so I can still use it mainly as 13 amp. Right, let's see if I can get my picture back now. Right, I'm back. Okay, I wasn't sure who I was going to pass it back to, but what's a valve? Yes. Sorry, I was brought up on them. It's all changed a lot. I think I'm going to pass it round to James. That was the original order, and I think that's what Dave's saying. If not, yeah, okay. I will pass it round to James if I can get a test card up. Right, from G8HKN for this week, round to G0DQH. From
Right, this transmission is for G8VZT. Day, Peter, your turn next, please. Your turn next.
Okay, I left a small gap there. Let's just pump up the volume a bit for our Welsh viewers. Don't usually run that much. Ooh. Right, okay, and okay, Dave. Yeah, well, I thought you looked familiar, so apologies for not remembering you were M5AFG as well as G8VZT. So anyway, well, I sorted that one out. I don't know if Joe's still looking, but I've never worked you before, Joe, but nice to see you on, and look forward to see what you've got to show us next week. Right, just quickly run through the notes. I liked your Langstone, Colin, KLB, and especially your new discovery of the Portsdown being a good lighting bar. That's excellent, excellent discovery. I won't mention Joe's things because he's gone. Yeah, Dave, you think that's a messy bench? I remember what I was going to show you last time. Actually, I had a go at the activity stuff on 2 meters at the weekend with Gareth, but he was the only station I managed to work. But I thought you might be interested in my 2 meter setup. So I was using the Portsdown and a Pluto. I've got a Knucker in there as well because we did some DVB-T tests. And then I've got this horrendous creation here, which is a bit of printed circuit board with a Lime Mini on it, USB relays, another aerial relay, and this thing here, which is reasonably interesting. That's a home-made and designed, it's not focused, amplifier. It goes from about 472 kilohertz up to 2 meters. It will run about 6 fairly clean watts on most bands. By the time it gets to 2, because of the ferrite I've used in the coupling transformers, it only generates about a watt, but that's much more than enough to drive my 300 watt 2 meter amplifier to far more than you need. So that's that. Oh, Richard, did I see a bass guitar in your shack there? I thought I saw the top of a bass guitar there. And yeah, perhaps we ought to compare pictures of hair gone by. I used to have. I'd have laughed at your hair as being too short, Jim, when I were a lad. So there you go. Oh, and yeah, Mike, taking things apart. Well, actually, I got off quite reasonably lightly for a while because I actually managed to put things back together again fairly quickly because it was all valve. I think someone explained what a valve was. But my dad was a watchmaker, so he finally lost his rag when I took one of his customers' watches to pieces to see how that worked. I was probably about 5 at the time, so and that was something I couldn't get back together. I couldn't do that now either. So that was the main trouble I got into. Jim, yeah, thermal measurements for the DATV. That's good actually. Perhaps I might catch up with you during the week because I've often wondered exactly how you define the power that a DATV transmitter's running because it's quite wide, isn't it? Roger Twiggy Day. Good God, I've worked all over broadcasting over the years, and I did a stint of lots and lots of commercial radio stations, and I think pretty much every station I ever worked at, even Jazz FM, where I was chief engineer, Roger Twiggy Day was on the playlist, as it were. Very nice man, mad as a nail, but very, very interesting. And I'm glad I guessed the valve pin straightener correctly. I think, well, you'll know better than I do, but I'm sure in those days people would try and mend their own tellies, wouldn't they? Then they'd whack it all back together and call you in and say, oh no, I haven't touched it. So probably the valve pin straightener was a useful tool under those circumstances. Right, I think that's about it from me. So thank you, Dave, for running the net. Good night to everybody, and look forward to seeing you all next week. And with that, it's back round to you, Colin. G4KLB, G4FKK. Good night.
Okay, thanks a lot. Goodness me, we've done a lot today, haven't we? There we go. Right, I've got to find. Where did OBS go? Where did OBS go? There we are. Hopefully this script's still going. It's been running for hours. Well, it was very nice to meet somebody who has 2 call signs, because I call sign club. I got my G8 call sign back again, with help from the RSGB. Actually, they were very good, furnished the appropriate information. So I also go by the name of G8SWO, which I was going to use on TV, but then everyone seems to know KLB, so I didn't bother after that. Okay then. Yeah, I was going to show Joe the same. Thanks for that information. I'll probably leave mine alone. I've got the same PA there. I was going to jokingly say that I was building a new new PA out of one of these, but this is we've had valves and everything else, but we'll throw a tetrode into the mix. so there we are. And indeed, I have found that the same manufacturer, I see Gems Power Supply, from the same manufacturer, they also do this, which is they call it the model S1536. It's 36 volt power supply. It's a bit of a lump, but the whole thing in one, instead of using the 3 individual ones, makes a very nice mirror as well. Actually, you can see, you can see. So that's 41.6 amps, which should be adequate for our needs. It got a bit bent in the post, but I shall straighten that out and check. So that worked out at a little bit less than buying the 3 power supplies. So not too bad at all. I haven't I haven't seen if it goes down to 32 yet, but I am I imagine it would. Might be best for me to try it first before I show it, really. But there we are. Yeah, very shiny, very shiny power supply. So we'll have a go at that. I might actually put the ammeter on it as well, because they're out of stock at the moment. But they'll be back. As it is, show us your directional couple a day. I didn't know we were going UHF. You see, otherwise I would have shown this one, which is a very pretty looking directional coupler. I can't match quantity, but there we go. Right, that's probably enough, because we've been sort of taking a little bit longer today. So 7.3's all. Who's taking it next then, I wonder? It'll appear on there very soon, I'm sure. Okay, so I'll just gracefully disappear. G4KLB.
G4KLB and the net. We are in business. G4KLB and the net. GHGKQ. Okay. Can't really match you on quantity on directional couplers, but do have a little N-type one. I've calibrated it for 145, 437 and 1255. I'm not sure what it's like on 2.4 gigs, but there we go. Call signs I've had 4, I think, including G6AMD/T a long time ago. Haircuts, I got fed up this week, and Sue very kindly shaved most of it off, so feeling a little more less woolly now. But good to see all the stuff that's going on the net. Sold out already. See, those boards have sold out already. Can't win them all. More are on their way, as are some PCB, some of the little power supply boards, I gather. We just can't keep up with demand, but good to see so much activity on the building. Right, I'll close the net now. Thank you very much for all coming up, and see you all here same time next week, G8GKQ. And I'll just move the camera so there is a call sign in the picture.